Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from beautiful upstate New York, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show, and welcome to Interview Sunday, Sleep-In Sunday. We've enjoyed sleeping in this summer, and it's all over, people.
It's been a sleeping summer.
What's that?
Tuesday, that's it? Back to 5 a.m.?
Starting Tuesday. Monday through Friday. Well, not this Monday, but starting Tuesday, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. The 5 a.m.ers are like banging down the door, like picketing.
Yeah, see them? You see Andrew and Kate Smith with their fists in the air?
They want to wake up early. The 8 a.m. sleep-in lazy crew has been outvoted. I'm sorry. And now we have to say goodbye to the Californians who've been tuning in. They've been loving it. Kent, we're going to miss you. Damodar and Radha, we're going to miss you guys. Goodbye, Californians. We love you. Anyway, we have a great guest. Before we announce our great guest today, next week, another great guest, Reincarnation Goswami, is going to be on. He's going to talk about his new book. He's going to talk about Sanskrit, lots of cool stuff. And also, we want to talk about our Italy trip. You're not going to believe we got so many people signed up for this Italy trip, because it's going to be incredible.
I believe it.
Yeah. If you haven't put in your deposit, it's going to sell out. So put in your deposit to hold your space. That was a message from Vivi, who's doing the registration. We're going to meet up with a lot of our European Wisdom of Sages people, a lot of Americans coming, people coming in from all different places. And I want to give a big shout out to everybody I hung out with in Philly yesterday. It was a beautiful scene in Philly yesterday.
Wow.
And Friday night in Philly, when we did a kirtan. Yesterday, we did a 6-hour kirtan. And everybody's just losing their material minds. We had some people who came. They were I was like, how did you end up coming here? Do you know Damodar? They said, no. I said, do you know me from Wisdom of the Sages? No. I said, how'd you get here? He goes, I don't know. We just saw a flyer and we came. And we were like, we don't know anything about Bhakti. We just were looking for something to do. He goes, this was the funnest day we've ever had.
Good. They weren't too freaked out?
They weren't freaked out. I have a very non-freaky approach.
Yeah, of course.
What do you think? Bhakti Justin, he was there. Bhakti Justin, boy, he can sing, man.
Really? I have not seen this side of Bhakti Justin.
He can sing, he can dance. He's a thespian.
I've seen his dancing.
He can sing, he can dance, he can act. He's lovely. I love this guy. We're having so much fun together. Damodar Swarup was there. All the Philly posse was there. It was wonderful.
All right.
So we're excited. We have a special guest, Kripamoya Prabhu. Welcome to the show, Prabhu. Honored to have you.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. I feel like a fan who's just been invited to join the band.
You're in.
You're the band. As a matter of fact, I met Kripamoya Prabhu when I was traveling through England with my band, right? Is that when we first met?
Yeah, many years ago.
He took
when you were still diving off the stage.
Yeah, well, I still dive off the stage occasionally.
But you got to make it a real low stage nowadays.
It's real low. And I wear lots of equipment, pads, football helmets, elbow pads, knee pads, ankle, shin guards. It's not quite the same.
But Kripamoya Prabhu is, he's one of the early disciples of Srila Prabhupada in England, going way, way back. And he said, I was trying to find a bio, but his bios are all so long because he's had such an illustrious career. But, to kind of say, to try to keep it short, I think, he's a person that's, he's been one of the most important figures in the Bhakti movement in England, going for many decades. He travels around England, and he's like really plays the role of like a guide for so many people. He's representing tradition, and, he's a scholar. And he's written some very important books, one in particular that we want to highlight today, which is our topic for today. His book it's generically titled The Guru and Disciple Book, right? Sometimes those generic titles, like we're saying Madhava's rock band, right? They're Madhava's rock band.
Madhava's rock band. That's my new favorite band I've been listening to every morning.
They're Madhava's rock band. So this is The Guru and Disciple Book. But he's written, beyond his scholarship and beyond the care that he's shown, so many people, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people over the years, and beyond being Genevieve Harrison's father and the father of many other wonderfully talented and powerful devotional children, he's an incredible kirtan leader himself, one of the great singers, in the Bhakti movement.
He's on regular rotation in my household. Do you know that, Prabhu?
I do.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't know. I know.
I'm here to tell you, you are in regular rotation in my household.
Okay.
Yeah, Bhakti Justin's favorite.
And
He does the whole morning program because his one of his CDs is chanting through all what they chant at the temple every morning. So it's really nice to sing along.
Right.
With that.
Oh, he's learning that way, huh?
Yeah, that's the way Bhakti Justin learns. If you're new to these songs, it's a great way to learn. You go to Spotify, Kripamoya, and just listen to that CD of yours. It's so good.
And just learn. I always remember one kirtan Prabhu. I don't know if you remember it. I remember it. Maybe you remember it. But it was at the end of the Navadvip Mandal Prikrama one year, after 9 days of pilgrimage, camping out and all that with about, over 1,000 devotees. Then the whole crew came back and we're inside the temple in Mayapur, and you were leading a kirtan. Do you remember this kirtan? It was probably 92 or 93 or something like that, 94.
I was there.
Yeah.
You remember that? And I just remember that kirtan, for me, it was almost out of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where they said like the earth was shaking and everything. You were beautifully leading, but it was like powerful. And I remember Shivaram Swami was there playing mridanga, and he was kind of leading the mridanga players, and he's like kind of getting them to keep the time right. And then it's life-changing for me, and life-changing. And I'll never forget that.
There's something beautiful when people who are just like fully dedicated their life to spirit. When they lead the kirtan, it takes on it's no longer performance. It's no longer a show. It's just like coming out like sincere, deep, emotional, almost like, especially these standing kirtans, it's like full body, full contact prayer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and after 9 days of like absorption, like in the holy places like that, I think everyone was just so purified that kirtan, it was off the charts, So thank you for that.
Thank you for being here.
Were you on that parikram with us? Or were you just at the temple at that time? Do you remember?
Oh, I was, 1 year it was. I can't remember. 92 probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was part of the year, maybe 93.
For those who don't know, this is like, I remember doing that year, and I was going, oh my God, if this could be marketed to the general public, it would be huge. It's like the most exotic, gorgeous, beautiful, devotional, heart-touching thing you're walking through the jungles, through rice paddy fields, crossing rivers and boats with a boatman with a stick taking you across holy rivers, showing up at some decrepit old temple where some old sage comes out and explains it in Bengali. And then one of our locals does a translation. We're all sitting on the floor. A banana vendor comes out selling those little mini bananas. A coconut guy starts cutting coconuts open for you. And then you do that again. You do that like 3 or 4 times. And then you pull up to a beautiful field where there's like a cow chewing on the grass, and another old dilapidated temple. and there you have an incredible feast laid out for you. It's like you don't have to carry anything. It's all being carried in bullock carts for you. And you just walk through village to village chanting and singing. And the foods you eat, you've never eaten anything like this. You've never even tasted these foods. Lotus flower subjis and banana flower subjis and lotus root, black rice. It's just like it's otherworldly stuff. And I was thinking, and it was, you know what it cost? Kaustubha, I don't even remember. $200 for 9 days. All the meals, walking barefoot through the jungle, beautiful kirtan going on all day long.
We just have to do it for Wisdom of the Sages. We have to make a Wisdom of the Sages, Navadvip Mando Prikram, bring Kripamoya Prabhu along.
Yes. That's an incredible idea.
Let's do it.
Let's
do it.
Anyway.
Okay.
I'll bring my shoulder pads.
Okay. Wise man. All right, Prabhu, let's dive into our topic today. And the topic that we wanted to speak about specifically is the topic of guru. Which is, there's so from my perspective, it appears there's so much confusion on this topic now, particularly in the modern Western yoga world. It was maybe about a year ago, really seemed to be peaking because these, well-known figures, who people see as gurus, have had their troubles. Had their, like with the rise of the Me Too movement, all kinds of misbehavior comes to light on different people, to the point where you would read articles and so on of even people that are like well established in the yoga world saying like, I think we need to reconsider, maybe this is an outdated idea, guru, and so on and so forth. So we can get to that, but I just want to start like right at the beginning. Could you explain for us what is... Well, let's just start. What is a guru? Traditionally, how do we understand what is a guru?
Yeah, well, it's a Sanskrit word. Sanskrit is an ancient language from which many of the wisdom texts come. Guru means heavy as in weight. If a woman is heavily pregnant, she's known as guru in Sanskrit. If a person is a heavyweight wrestler, he's known as guru. If a honeybee coming back from its trips to collect the nectar is fully laden with nectar, it's called a guru patela.
Interesting.
So anything which is heavy is guru, and the opposite of guru is lagu, which means lightweight. So guru means heavyweight. So of all the things that we're interested in knowledge, and of all the different types of knowledge, we're interested in that knowledge which would make us permanently happy, to alleviate suffering. So although there may be different types of gurus, and these days we have financial gurus and sports gurus and everything, the most important guru is one who can give us knowledge which can enhance our spirituality, relieve our anxiety, and bring us to a high level of life. So that's guru. So it's usually the vehicle of that knowledge is usually a person. And it's a person who has either been enlightened or a person who's been taught by a guru. The fruit of the chain of gurus, the tree of gurus, and that person gives as they've received it. So he or she is a messenger and a vehicle, a conduit for knowledge and compassion and love and mercy and all the things that we're really looking for. That is a guru.
And how do you know if someone is capable of playing that role?
Well, depends what you're looking for. Your search for a guru has to be serious. And somebody asked me that question. I said, well, it's like when you have you look up to your ceiling and you see a wet patch, and you think, I have a ceiling problem. But really what you have is a plumbing problem.
Mm-hmm.
When you know the nature of your problem, then you go to an expert who can help you. So if you think you have a material problem, you look for a material guru. If you know that you have a spiritual problem, you look for a spiritual guru, someone who will give spiritual wisdom. So how do you know? Well, the Upanishads give a description of the person that you're looking for. That person should be Shrotriya, which means he should have heard the Vedas, the wisdom text from another realized person. Person should be compassionate. Person should be Nishta, or fixed in wisdom, and should be able to show or demonstrate an example of someone who's living and moving in the spirit, someone who's not attached to the things of this world. So you first of all have a problem that you know the nature of the problem, and you look for a person who seems to have solved that problem himself. So that's the basic guidance from the Mundaka Upanishad.
So, this person, you're saying they need to be well versed in these Vedic teachings, that real well versed in these sacred texts that go way, way, way back.
Yeah, I mean, it depends whether you're looking for something traditional.
Yeah.
It's very common these days to think that something that has just been discovered is the best of all knowledge. We have a sort of tendency in the northern world to see a scientific discovery or a new piece of wisdom or a new revelation or a new charismatic realization as being something, because of its novelty, being more useful. Whereas the tendency in the Eastern world is to see that something is a tried and tested tradition. It's tried, it's time honored, it's time tested. Millions of people have got benefit from it in the past. We can use it today. We gravitate towards that. So there's a sort of a clash of two cultures there, and you have to decide which culture you want to be part of. If you think that modern revelation has contributed to world peace, humanity, compassion, kindness, and love, then look for a new revelation or a new discovery or new invention. If you think that somehow the wisdom of the sages and the wisdom of those who have gone before us, the voice of the ancients, can give us something that we don't have now, or at least can supplement our modern life, our postmodern life, then go for that. But the guru will fit the knowledge system that you're interested in investigating.
Okay. So now let me narrow the scope of our discussion a little bit.
Well, there's stages. You want to hear the stages? Yeah. Either you take Krishna as the divine personality, or you take Krishna as a philosopher. But he said in the later books of the Srimad Bhagavatam that there are three stages of finding a guru.
Okay.
First stage is the guru is your own mind, your own intelligence. That's the first guru that we all have, because with the guru of your mind, you analyze the world around you and you think there must be something better for me in this world. The second stage is that the universe itself becomes the guru, where everything that you experience, the conversations, the landscape, the trees, the mountains, the sky, the rivers, they all speak to you, and you'll gain messages from the universal guru in that way. But the third stage is when you find a person who is the embodiment of all the lessons that you are to learn, and you will cross that person's path at a time that is right for you, due to the intensity of your searching and that person's breadth of compassion. So when compassion meets searching for the absolute, there you will find Guru.
Lovely.
Kaustubha, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Prabhu, do you find that, or is it normal that a teacher speaks to them at one point in their life, and then as they get older, go through the seasons of life, different teachers will appear? Or is it always supposed to be that one teacher? Or is there such thing as being unchaste to a teacher? Or is it meant that there's a whole group of teachers that are lifting us through our lifetime?
Yeah. although in, a, in modern communities, we may stress the predominance of one teacher above all others. In Vedic culture, the culture of the Vedas, that there actually is a succession of teachers and a succession of gurus and a succession of initiations according to what stage of life you're in. There may always be one person, there can only be one person who gave you the initial mantra that was the mantra for your life and the beginnings of wisdom. So you will always meet that person who was the initiator of your spiritual path in a formal way. But as life goes by, the universe itself will provide you with different gurus that you need to see the same truth from a different perspective. And that's the wonderful thing, that you're never alone on your journey.
Now for like, say, the listeners to Wisdom of the Sages, and many of our listeners, they're relatively new to Bhakti Yoga, and they found an interest in hearing Bhagavatam on a daily basis, and the teachings are resonating with them in their life. They want to go deeper into it, and of course they're hearing as we read these texts, of the importance of a guru in one's life, or how it plays a role in the practice, and they're hearing from people who have been initiated by gurus and entered into that kind of relationship. So many of them may be wondering, is this something for me? Is it something that I must do? And really, what is the nature of it? Like, what does it mean to be initiated by a guru into a bhakti lineage? Could you describe that a bit? Like, within that initiation, what is the role of the guru? What is the role of the student? What is the ceremony? What does it symbolize? And what is it meant to bring into our life?
Yeah, well, if you read the Bhagavatam and you're enjoying it, then there are so many references to the word guru. And the most important guru is, of course, what many people call the still small voice of God within the heart, the inner prompting, the inner guru, the guru of the heart, who gives wisdom to us. And that will bring you to a point where that voice prompts you to seek a teacher. If that hasn't happened yet, then don't force it. It's not something which needs forcing. But when the time is right, you will know, because that inner prompting will be there. There'll be an appetite for it. Just like having a meal. If you're hungry, then a meal makes good sense. If you're not hungry, then any meal, no matter how delicious, won't make sense to you. So a guru is not for everybody. A guru is just for people who are hungry for spiritual wisdom. But if you have been listening to the Bhagavatam on a daily basis, there'll be an accumulation of hunger, strangely speaking. We're never satisfied when we listen to these spiritual messages. We just want more. So when you want more, you may want in your life a teacher who can be there for you, and you may be interested. It begins at a certain curiosity, develops into an interest, and fructifies in the form of a need. I need a guru. I need someone in my life that I can turn to. Now, of course, in Wisdom of the Sages, of course, people have you on a daily basis. You perform that function. However, your fingers are not pointing at yourself.
Definitely not.
Your fingers are pointing ahead of you, but you perform that function for people. But if you're interested in having a guru in your life, then first of all, understand what a guru is. What are the qualifications? What are the disqualifications? Who to accept with caution, who to reject with great reluctance, and how to proceed further. Which stage in those 3 stages that Krishna describes in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, where are you situated? Have you considered the idea of a guru in your life? What would it mean to you to have one? When these questions arise for you, then it's a good opportunity for you to explore further.
So that's my question. What is the meaning of it, and what is the purpose? Is it just someone's just going to give me advice, or particularly, like, maybe we could look at this question, around the initiation into the lineage, the ceremony itself, and what's happening when someone formally is accepted by a guru as their student or disciple, and the disciple is accepting the guru. Like, what's the nature of this relationship, and what is meant to happen by that connection?
Well, it's the same as a teacher in any any school or tradition. It is is it as a descent of knowledge. It's not so much the transmission of information. It's not the same as going to a school and having some information transmitted. It's more an opening of the heart to receive divine wisdom that comes through the agency of the spoken word, but is so much more. And what it means is that you would ask someone if you could regularly ask them questions. You may want them to give you some guidance, perhaps make any corrections in your, just like before I became a practitioner of Bhakti, I was into Japanese martial arts. And I was only 15, 16, getting my belts.
Watching those Bruce Lee movies?
Oh, yeah, all of that.
Okay.
Kung Fu. And before even Kung Fu was exported, it was karate. And from about 14 onwards, I was deeply, seriously committed. I just like the idea of going to a place, bowing down before someone, and being given, secret wisdom on how to defeat my imaginary enemies. And, so one time I went to the dojo, and he said, "Look, there's only me and you. You don't have to bow down, because it's just me." And I was about 16, 15. I said, "No, it seems like I should bow down to you because you're teaching me." He said, "Well, all right, yeah, it is the tradition, it is the legacy, and I'm only representing, Sensei who lives in Japan." So pretty early on, I liked the idea of there being a sacred transmission between teacher and student.
Do you think that could have been from a previous life, Raghunath? What do you think? That sounds like a...
Yeah. He's attracted to it. A lot of people aren't attracted to bowing down to anybody. They don't want to bow down.
Yeah.
A lot of Americans, they abhor that idea of bowing down to anybody. We live in this world right now where it's like people don't like the concept of guru. The common argument is you're your own guru. Guru is within. Clear off the altar and jump on it. You're the God. You should be worshipped. And you hear this all the time, especially in the yoga community. But to me, it just seems like they've just been dealt so many counterfeits that they can't even tell and discern what is real and what is fake anymore. Yeah. And you're pointing out a tradition that's real, that's genuine, that's authentic. My question is, here's another question. Can a person be a guru if they're not following? There are a lot of wise people out there that don't follow any traditions. What do you think? What do you think about that? And they sometimes they are gurus in their own right. Or meaning they have people that follow them or their teachers. Yeah. Is it a problem if that person, be a secular person or even pseudo spiritual person, is there a problem to take advice from people like that, or should we just work on our own stuff before we even speak?
Many people have asked me that question, and I guess your listeners are acquainted with the idea of reincarnation, that spiritual life is not a one episode affair.
Sure.
We take many lifetimes. And sometimes a person becomes very spiritually developed in one lifetime. And in the next life, they're kind of born somewhat self-realized. There's just an aura about them. They're spiritual just by nature. They don't seem to have gone to any guru to find it, but they're just situated in their own self-realization. Self-realization, of course, is a long, it's a long gradation of elevation. So to be self-realized means we're all somewhere on that plane of self-realization. But to take instruction from such a person means that they have to be qualified to tell you how they got to that level themselves, which they may not be able to do because it all happened with
Right.
them, the guru in the previous life. So that they appear to be spontaneously self-realized, like, you know, different, India's full of such persons, but they can't really function as gurus because they haven't undergone the discipline in this life of learning from a teacher and passing it on. And so it's sort of a one life only show.
That's a good answer. Thank you.
You know,
No, I don't know if it's explained everything, but the idea is that you have to. It's not. You don't become spiritually elevated by hanging out with a spiritually elevated person only. You become spiritually elevated being taught the technique of how to do it.
now that's interesting. See, this is what I'm interested in, because you see, I
Like
might go to.
I'm sitting on a train next to a guy who's a brain surgeon. Just by physical proximity, I don't learn about brain surgery, but I've bathed in his presence. I'm in awe of the fact that he knows how to perform surgery on someone's brain. I begin a conversation with him, but there's no substitute for going and doing the hard yards, you know, in a medical school.
You might be inspired to become a brain surgeon by being around him.
Yeah.
Now, when someone in a bhakti lineage becomes, when they take initiation, it's not. There's more than just like learning. Like, for instance, if I wanted to learn to become a brain surgeon, there would be an academic kind of transmission of knowledge. There would be training, but they wouldn't ask me to change my name. They wouldn't give me a mantra. You know, there's some essential aspects of taking initiation in a bhakti lineage. Could you speak to those and kind of explain what the nature of that connection is? Why is this mantra important if I'm just learning from a person? Why do I change my name, etc.? And what is the role of that guru, and what would become my role as a student or a disciple of a guru towards them?
Yeah. Well, one thing I'd like to say first is that you know, having a guru in the East is a very common thing. You know, if you go to let you go on a pilgrimage, and maybe it's happened to you, Raghunath and Kaustubha, you go to India, and you check into a hotel, and they look you up and down, especially if you're dressed in a, you know, sort of a cool spiritual way. You know, they say.
I love dressing in cool spiritual ways, actually.
Yeah, they say, you know, oh, what is your name? What is your country? As they take your passport, and they say, who is your guru? Because it is so, I guess the psychology word is syntonic, ego syntonic. In other words, the whole culture supports the idea of having a guru. Whereas in the West, the guru is, you know, sort of present by his absence. But anyway, you've asked what is this ceremony that went. The whole crux of everything is how spiritual transformation takes place, and that is through the power of mantra. I was in discussion with a yoga teacher, and we were talking about Surya Namaskar, and she said, "Well, there's mantras that go with it." I said, "Yeah, the mantras go with it. Is all Om Suryaya Namaha, because you're bowing down to the sun." She said, "Yeah, but we don't need to be involved in that." I said, "But that's part of the tradition, to chant the 12 mantras for the 12 stages of, you know, Surya Namaskar. It's called Namaskara, or offering obeisances to the sun." She said, "Well, I don't see it like that." I said, "Well, it's a little bit like my guru told the story where, you know, there's a farmer, and he looks after chickens, and he has one big chicken, and the one big chicken gives him big eggs, and he takes the eggs to market, and he sells them for a big profit. And he's a foolish farmer, so he looks at the chicken, and he says, well, you know, the back end of the chicken is making me money, but the front end of the chicken is costing so much money. So I'll cut the chicken in half." So this is called, and of course he doesn't get anything more from the chicken. Mm-hmm. And in India, this is called Ardha Murgi Nyaya, the logic of half a chicken. So I'll take a tradition, I'll cut it in half, and I'll keep the parts that I like and leave the parts that I don't like. This is kind of how, it's a glib generalization, but how the West looks at the East. I'll reject the guru part because that costs me my ego. And I'll keep the rest because that gratifies my ego. So
It's so beautiful. Yeah.
the whole point of having a guru is to smash the ego. The ego is the thing that's keeping us trammeled and pummeled and punished and you know, in anxiety. So when one transcends it, you can transcend the ego by reducing the ego with the help of an external agency of the guru. It's not pleasant. The thing is, having a guru is no fun. It's not meant to be fun. It's meant to be difficult. But through that difficulty, you know, like the Dalai Lama was in New York, and he was giving a talk, and one lady raised her hand. She said, "I want nirvana now." And he said, "Oh, but it is a long period. You have to become initiated. You have to have a guru. You have to be taught. You have to do meditation." He gave her a long list of things that you need to do in order to get nirvana. She said, "No, I want it now." And as he turned away and he looked at someone and he had a tear in his eye, he said, "These people just don't understand." they just don't understand. Anyway, the point is the initiation ceremony. Okay, so you found one. You like this person. Every time they speak, you seem to come away spiritually inspired. You seem to have your doubts removed. You seem to be regenerated. You're filled with hope. You come away with more knowledge. So then you want to. There's a period of 1 year in which traditionally 1 year in which in any lineage you chop wood and you fetch water. That's what you do in the traditional guru's ashram. Some subservient menial task.
You serve that person.
You serve that person. And of course, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "Pad vidi pranipatena." You pranipat, you bow down, and you make pariprashnena. Prashna means questions, and pari means we get the Western word perimeter from the word pari. Pari means to ask questions all around the subject, so to the point of exhaustion. Pariprashnena, to ask questions all the way around from different angles. And when you're fully convinced that this person not only knows what they're talking about, practices it, can teach it to you, and you feel your heart soaring in that person's company, you're dealt with compassion and love, expert guidance, then you wish to make a life with that person. And then you ask that person, "What's the one thing I need to do?" And he will say, "You need this mantra. And I will give you this mantra." And it's a rahasya mantra. It's a secret mantra. Traditionally, the mantras were secret.
Can I ask you a question in that regard?
Yeah.
Because part of it seems you hear these statements like, well, the initiation is merely a formality. Once you take the instructions of the guru in your heart, you're really initiated. And then you hear that the actual diksha, or the harinama initiation or the diksha initiation, where the guru is actually metaphysically giving you the mantra, that's when the mantra becomes very powerful. Yeah. So is it that we're just chanting here, but without initiation, the chanting has no effect? That can't be. I see people being affected and they're not initiated. Yeah. And is it that we just take it into the heart and then we're on that path? Or is it the guru is the constant cow herder of us and we're just wandering around, they're herding us in? How would you explain these two different extremes?
Well, there's sort of an ancient system, and then there's a more medieval system. The ancient system was that the mantra was actually secret, and no one had it. No one was given the mantra except through that path of, ego smashing and servitude and exhaustive questioning. And then you would get the mantra, and only then would you get the mantra. Contrast that with the medieval bhakti, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga, gave the Maha Mantra to all as a gift, no qualification. no submission. The mantra itself will do everything. Now, imagine if you're already feeling so ebullient, so full of joy with a mantra that you have not been initiated into. Imagine what could happen if you were actually initiated into that mantra and followed all the procedures. So you like this, you'll like this even more. So you like it so much, that's an invitation for you to come and take advantage of it.
So
yeah.
just to understand, so in other words, transformation is coming through chanting of the mantra, and the guru is instructing the disciple in how to chant that mantra, in the lifestyle that goes with entering more deeply into that mantra, and the teachings that go into entering more deeply into that mantra, etc.
Yeah. So you're learning the techniques. With the liberal dispensation of the mantra, there are no rules and no regulations and no education required. You just chant, and if it works for you, that's wonderful. However, if you want the philosophy behind it, the theology behind it, the training, the techniques, and over a period of a lifetime to know what not to do, then the guru comes in, very useful. And so, for instance, in the Hare Krishna mantra, we learn that there's 10 ways that you can debilitate the efficacy of the mantra, and we try to avoid those. So part of a life of increasing the potency of the mantra is to follow those things, and the guru gives you the guidance in that. But the other items are very important also. Traditionally, there is something known as pancha samskar, or 5 reformations. Pancha is 5, samskar reformation, or indelible impression. And that is the, one receives the description of things that mantra chanters don't do, which is also not very popular. There are things such as how to raise your level of compassion, how to raise your level of ahimsa, or non-violence, how to raise your non-violence in thought and word and deed and conversations and interactions with others, how to not become possessive, how to not become destructive in your relationship. All these are just one aspect. So you learn those things, and that is known as tapa. Tapa also means, rising early in the morning instead of rising late. It means eating certain foods and avoiding other foods. And if you do these things, you'll improve in your spirituality. And if you go against those rules, then you can experience the results. That is known as tapa. So initiation, or getting the mantra without the tapa, the potency is reduced. So next after that comes pundra, ceremony of dedicating the physical body, because the person that gets initiated is not just the physical body. That's just the person that you see when you're in the mirror. You look in the mirror and you think, this is me. The person that's getting initiated is deep inside you. You still, that person can be you're in a strange world where you may not know this person as well as you would like to. And so this is the person getting initiated. And so you have certain ways of making your body the least part of your whole sense of self. So tapa and pundra, they do that, and then comes nama. So nama means to change your name to being a name of das, or das. Dasam means to take the name of a servant. Again, who wants to be a servant? Who wants to be a servant?
So it seems like some of the gist of what you're sharing with us is people might say, hey, I want one of those cool Sanskrit names, and this and that, and I want to enter into the spiritual community, and it's kind of cool, but you're giving a little kind of like cautionary kind of.
Well, here's a story for you. My friend of mine was He's a strict vegetarian, and he was called to Buckingham Palace to have dinner with the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh.
And look at your friends. You got some high-placed friends
Yeah,
here.
good things. So, you know, I also went to Buckingham Palace one time, and there was 1,500 other people there.
Okay.
So he goes there, and it's just him and the Queen, and they bring out a fish dish, and he's never eaten meat in his life, and so he's sort of pushing it around the plate, and the Queen's husband, Prince Philip, says, "What's the matter, Ramesh? You know, you." He said, "Well, I'm vegetarian, you know," and he says, "Well, why didn't you say so?" And they brought something from the kitchen, and afterwards, the chief cook came to him and he said, "I'm so sorry. We should have inquired. We should have known. Great embarrassment. Great embarrassment. I'm so sorry. How can we make it up to you?" He said, "Well, you can come to a place I know where they serve vegetarian food all the time. It's called Bhakti-yogi Manor. There's a temple there. You can bring everybody." So 4 months later, 17 servants from Buckingham Palace came to Bhakti-yogi Manor, and we showed them around, and we served them.
Nice.
We served them. And they just said, you know, we're in the service business, and we can tell you, you're serving a family, you know, a divine family. We're serving the royal family. And we know that you get what we experience, that it is greater to serve than to receive.
Mm.
We just talked about our mutual understanding of service. So yeah, nobody wants to be a servant. But as my guru said, you know, when you live at the palace, you serve, but you get to enjoy on the same level as the king at the same time. So service is the means. Now, in order to serve, you have to make sure that there's love that is there at the beginning of the relationship. So you can only serve a guru if you love the guru. Now that can be, it's a double-edged sword. It can be either dangerous or it can be joyous. So therefore, checking the nature, the qualification of the guru beforehand is very important. You've got to see, is the guru everything he says he is? Who sent him to teach anyway? Is he a member of a chain of gurus going back to antiquity? Do I feel comfortable in this person's presence? So when you've ticked all your boxes, and there are many boxes to tick, then you can proceed forward. But the service element is important. So really the guru is just the representative of God. So through the, my spiritual master said one time, he said, we all want to see God. We all want to see the face of God. He said, that is natural. When you hear about God, you want to be with God. You want to serve God. So how is it possible that you can get closer to God when there's a human being standing in front of you? He said, Prabhupada never used this word very often, the word paradox. But in this case, he said it is a great paradox that when you have the guru in front of you, you can see God clearly. And then he went on to another. He took off his glasses. He said he took off his spectacles and he took them off and he said, just like now I see you, he said, now I see you better. He said, so Guru is transparent. You see through him to God. He doesn't block your vision. So you're closer to God by service to the representative of God, the servant of God. I hope that's not too esoteric.
No, well, we hear that term a lot, transparent via media, right?
Yeah.
This is the role of the guru. So in other words, they're a person that's, we may be coming closer to them, but by becoming closer to them, they're always directing us towards what's beyond them.
Well, to get a good guru who's a genuine guru means that he kind of relegates his position to one of just transparency.
Right.
And actually, in an ancient, in a medieval text written in the 1300s, it says that the guru should, should never think of the disciple as a disciple. As he should think of the student as a peer, but at the same time teaching him as a student. But the disparity between the teacher and student disappears because the guru simply thinks this soul in front of me has been sent by God to learn from me. So my service to God is now to teach this person.
Yeah.
So the idea that this is the student serving me, that all disappears. That's
I remember.
not an ego thing for the guru to.
Yeah, you know, because that's what we do see, you know, and what comes out in the media is these people that are playing the role of quote unquote guru. And then they
Yeah.
have so much trouble. People are showing them reverence, and then they seem to get lost. And remember once Radha Swami speaking about like the honor and the respect that's shown to the guru, and he was making the point that for the guru, that honor is like poison, and the way that they deal with it is they immediately pass that honor on to their guru, who passes it on to their guru. Like they're very reluctant to wallow in that praise or that reverence that's being shown to them. But this brings me to a question.
The guru sees such praise as the urine of a donkey.
Donkey urine, yes.
Donkey urine.
That is the lowest form of urine there is.
Nothing worse than donkey urine. But which brings me to the point that caution. What are the caution? I remember once seeing you share, or within your book you share, something called the reprehensible delusions of guruship. Could you share what that's all about?
Yeah. Well, that actually comes from a book known as the Sri Vachana Bhushanam, or the Ornaments of Speech, the Ornament of Instruction, by someone known as Pillai Lokacharya, who lived a very long time ago in South India. And he says that the caution for the guru is to see the disciple as a co-disciple of the same guru. In other words, we're serving the same person. Is this your junior and I happen to be senior? See, the real test of this is in traditional times is that the guru lived in poverty. That's how you test.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is this person that wants my service living in luxury or in poverty? If you see a guru living in luxury, that's not a good sign in the beginning. It's good. You know, one of the tick boxes that you need is poverty. Check.
Mm-hmm.
Can he live without luxury? Check. Is he simple in his habits? Check. What sort of car does he drive? Check. I think we're used to the idea that the guru can accept everything on behalf of God, but I think much easier for your listeners would be to see, does this person rejoice in poverty? So anyway, then Pillai Lokacharya, he says the guru should never seek to gain financially from a disciple. Shouldn't be asking for money. He should never be subject to the delusion that he is facilitating or assisting, God in his liberation of the disciple. And he shouldn't look to the disciple for social companionship or even service. That's the idea. And then he'll keep himself safe.
Very interesting.
That's what he said.
Yeah, Raghunath and I, we you know, because we're in the yoga world, and we've seen people who are really unfamiliar with the tradition, but then somehow they begin to see themselves, and people begin to see them as some kind of spiritual leader or guru without any of this cautionary kind of training, generally without a deep understanding of the Shastra and so on, and then
generally without them even having a guru themselves.
Without having a real guru.
They're just charismatic people. Just charismatic people
that can teach
insight.
asana.
That can teach them, and they somehow have some insight. I don't want to strip them away from all their credit, but they some have some insight in life. They're a little wise, and like Prabhuji was saying earlier, could be coming from a previous life, or they're just a little intelligent, and they help people. But as far as like a particular lineage and getting them out of birth and death, this is like a whole nother story.
I don't like going to the dentist. You know, me and dentists don't have a great history.
I love
Me
it.
too.
So
I love it. I love it.
I have to check the credentials. I have to check the credentials of the dentist several times before, because I'm letting this stranger into my mouth
With sharp metal tools.
with sharp metal tools,
Power tools.
with power tools, and you know, and the you know the guru is the person you're letting them into your mind with sharp power words.
Mm.
You know, they can heal you, they can relieve pain, or they can destroy. So it just means you do your checking and careful assessment. But with a dentist, there's a school of dentistry, and there's this, you know, there's a brass plaque outside the door. You know what you're getting when you go inside. He seems to have all the equipment. He's got the you know. So how do you check the guru? We don't have a Western tradition for that. It's coming, but it's only coming because of bad experiences. You know?
Right.
Right.
We know who's not the guru.
We know what. You know what. We know then what we don't want.
You know what I say to people? I say, come on. It's like, how come with every other thing it makes sense except spirituality? Like if I want to learn martial arts, if I want to learn mixed martial arts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you want to try to learn that without a guru? Good luck. You know, you want to learn piano without a guru? Good luck. It's like, and people do stuff like that. And then like Jimi Hendrix learned how to play guitar on his own, but then you start to wonder, or did he have a guru in a previous life? Because it's one of those things, right? Of course we want a teacher in our life. Why would we even read books if you can't get value from another? So why would that not be there on a spiritual path as well?
Kripamoya Prabhu, could I ask you one question? We're running out of time here, but
I was going to ask.
the role of the parents is that's kind of a guru role in one sense, is it not?
The parents are the first guru.
The first guru, and
especially the mother.
But you know what? Today is Father's Day.
Yeah. Hey, Kaustubha, before we go, can we give a shout out to all the dads out there?
Let's give a shout out to all the dads who are playing a role of
giving
guru.
a lot of love, leading by example. And I think that's the first thing you realize when you become a dad. You're like, wow, I got to get my act together. I'm setting an example here. Hopefully they're getting that realization. I also want to give a shout out to Vina, who's one of our regular Zoomers, because it's her dad's birthday today, as well as being Father's Day.
Awesome.
And a great love to all the fathers. Kaustubha, continue.
Well, you know, because it's Father's Day, we thought we'd bring on one of your own disciple children. And we have Genevieve here who would just like to share a little Father's Day message with you.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Genevieve.
Happy Father's Day to you, my dad. My dad has taught me so much in my life. Not so much, really, everything. Both of my parents, and I'm so grateful for that. And it's been wonderful to be listening in this morning. Some of the things my dad's been sharing, we had many conversations over breakfast about all these topics. So it's really beautiful to see them shared.
What kind of breakfasts were you having? That wasn't the kind of breakfast we were having when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about Pillai Lokacharya and things like that.
Right.
Well, you know, once I asked Genevieve, I said, Genevieve, who do you think has, like, of all the kirtan leaders, you know, that you know of, who do you think has, like, the purest voice? And she said, well, I may be biased, but I think maybe my father.
I think so too. But
thank you so much for coming on our show today, Prabhu. It's been having you here. People are asking, is your book out of print? Is it still available?
How can we get it?
It's on Amazon Kindle, yeah.
It's only, but what if people use Kindle? Is there a way to get it?
Not yet, but if there's sufficient demand, it will manifest. The universe will manifest.
So it requires their intensity.
It requires intense prayer and meditation to get that book.
Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, you got to go Kindle. Thank you, Prabhu. And I think we need to do that Vidri Prikrama, Wisdom of the Stages Vidri Prikrama.
Oh, in Mayapur,
And,
that'd be so good.
and maybe you and Genevieve could come along with us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at your stay in Tuscany, and I'm thinking, wow, that's wonderful.
Oh, yeah, come. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Bring your dad. Let's get the hair. Don't these two look like the same person? You guys look like twins. They're the same head.
Right, on that note, this is where we do the kirtan.
Yes.
In the show.
Mara, any good takeaways today?
I've enjoyed myself immensely. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Mara, any takeaways today?
There were all takeaways. Everything was great. Praise is equal to donkey urine. Yeah, it's true.
The donkey urine. You went straight to the donkey urine.
Right. That was my takeaway too. The lowest form of urine is donkey urine.
Only serve with the love.
Only serve with love. Okay. It's a tattoo.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that one.
Something about the intensity. I remember from the beginning, the intensity that we need to have, then the guru will appear externally, right? When our desires intensify. There's so many.
Is that it, Mara?
She doesn't prepare for takeaways on interview days, Trevor. She does that on the Bhagavatam days.
Sorry, I'm just trying to grind her like a guru. Thanks everybody for joining us. What a great day. Thanks to our incredible guest, Kripamoya Prabhu. Make sure you go to Spotify, listen to his CD, and it's super wonderful. His book, the Guru Disciple book, is that what it's called?
It's called the Guru and Disciple book.
Check that out on Amazon Kindle. And we're looking forward to seeing you in Italy somehow. How can we get you there? That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks for everybody in Philly we're hanging out with. If you're interested in that Italy retreat, go to wisdomofthesages.com events and sign up there. It's almost sold out, and we want to see all these others. I met so many others this week, and it was incredible. It was incredible. Thanks, everybody. Now it's time to dance. And this is the magic of this tradition. If you really want transcendence, you got to put your hands together and you got to start losing your mind, your material mind. It has to go. We can't keep that material mind any longer.